Good morning, Bix Weir, Roota.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, I have posted part 2 of the timeline. Yesterday I posted part 1. It's a very intense discussion with Cliff High. Today I posted part 2, which is Roota's timeline, month by month, for 2020, how I see things are going down. It is posted on the private road at road2roota.com. You can join, if you want to join, just hit subscribe today. It's also posted on Patreon Plus. That's the Patreon Road Warrior Plus, the $25 per month. So go check it out. Again, nobody knows what's going to happen. This is Cliff's take. This is my take. And this is what we think. But definitely, here's something that's pissing me off. People say, no, you're wrong, Bix. You're wrong, Bix, about this. Cliff is wrong. You got to look at future scenarios. You got to look at the cost of planning for the worst. If you think you believe Cliff and this virus thing is the real deal, it's a global killer, it's going to wipe out a lot of the population, you need to prepare now. If you think that, one way or the other, what's the downside of not preparing? Obviously dying. That's the worst case scenario for you. But if Cliff is wrong and this thing isn't that big and it's some false flag, you've prepared for the financial collapse, which is coming, which is inevitable now that the supply system is shut down. So if you're on YouTube, absolutely tell people to prepare, because there's no downside. If you tell them not to prepare, the downside is they die. The downside is they get caught out in a financial collapse. There's nothing but downsides by not preparing right now. And it's pissing me off that people say, oh no, this guy says this and this guy says that. It doesn't matter. The system is breaking apart. There's nothing you can do about it except prepare. If Cliff is right, that this is the real deal, a pandemic, and it's the sun disease that he's always calculated, seen in his data, you can make yourself much better off going through this. I believe everybody's going to get the coronavirus. I don't think there's any way anybody can completely protect themselves, save going out in the wilderness, locking yourself in a cabin with 2 years worth of food and just riding it out, making sure you don't have contact with anybody. What kind of life is that? Or you can boost your immune system. Chaga, liposomal vitamin C, and good and cheap C60 is what I use, good and cheap. There's better ones. I think they're pretty much the same. They're really expensive though. If you take a lot of C60, it's really expensive. A lot of people ask me about colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is good on contact. It will kill the coronavirus on contact. Problem is, if you drink colloidal silver, it's going to kill all the germs going down your throat, and it will be useless for germs that are circulating throughout your body. So washing your mouth out with colloidal silver, absolutely. Vaporizing it and breathing it in, but it's not going to get to the inside. Hang on a second. Okay, that's my message. So, hey, get on the private road, get on Patreon. On the Patreon regular Road Warrior, I keep you updated on what's going on in the repo situation. Huge spike today from 749 billion to 781.9 billion dollars were needed tonight for the bailout. Big jump, as you can see, in the overnight total bailout of 53.4 billion. We haven't had it in the 50s in 2 weeks. So something's going down now. Big day coming up for repos. Big day. And that is the March 12th is when the Fed reanalyzes their repo schedule. Now, I don't think they're going to bump it. They'll probably leave it the same. But what I do think is they'll announce, oh, by the way, we are endorsing and allowing other companies besides the banks to get involved in repo through the FICC guarantees. They're going to do something with the FICC guarantees, which have spiked 236 billion in January on average. They take an average. I think it's an average. 236 billion. Now, FICC guarantees weren't even needed 2 years ago. And now they're the major part of the Fed repo. It's a stealth bailout of the banks. FICC is owned by the DTCC, where all the criminality goes on in rehypothecating shares. So all these treasury bills that have multiple owners, they need an FICC guarantee, which is useless because the FICC doesn't have that. Well, it doesn't have a lot of that. It holds them for another party. They're supposed to, although they're rehypothecating all these treasury. So if you want to know how many are in trouble, just go look at the FICC guarantees. Right now, 236 billion. And I think that's going to jump to over 300 billion very soon, either this month or next month. And that's how they're hiding the Fed bill. So keep an eye on March 12th for that. And let's talk about the virus. It should be obvious to everybody that the supply chain is taking a gigantic hit and these leveraged banks are going sideways. The derivative market will not survive this. And I talk about that in the timeline. And I give you a rundown month to month what I think is going to happen. But here's more news. Losing $1 billion a month, no rebound in sight amid global shipping slump. If you don't have goods, you can't ship them. The global shipping industry is now destroyed. This is the reversal of globalization I've been screaming about for so long. I was in this market. We were leasing containers and freight ships. Big ships back when I was a banker. And they're pretty steady. A global pandemic is probably the worst case scenario. So all these containers aren't even moving. You can't get the right container in the right place. Remember, you load a container in China and you ship it to the U.S. A lot of times the U.S. was sending them back empty because all the goods were coming out of China. Now they're not even leaving China. There's a hell of a lot of empty containers out there. A lot of banks are heavily into container leasing and ship leasing and ship financing. And it's huge dollars. And these shipping companies are losing $1 billion a month. No rebound in sight. America's seaports are now starting to feel the chilling effects of supply chain disruptions from China. Warned Noel Hasgiga, Deputy Executive Administrator for the Port of Long Beach. Me, sitting here in Oakland, California, yes, there is plans to get the hell out of here. I need to take care of some stuff first. But freight shipments down 6%. That's going to get worse and worse and worse as more and more countries start on lockdown with the coronavirus. People can't go to work. And then we don't know how many key people have died off in China that will no longer be able to make, that have the expertise to make a certain part, to go on a certain piece, to go on blah, 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 to get put on a Dodge Ram truck. The ripple effects of the end of globalization, you should not underestimate it. That's why it doesn't matter if you believe there's a coronavirus that's going to kill millions of people, hundreds of millions. You should be preparing for that eventuality. And oh, by the way, if it doesn't, there's even a bigger thing coming, which is the ending of the global financial system. Coronavirus is different. Wall Street Journal. It's rapidly hitting supply and demand. Supply and demand. The Apple iPhone. Apple announces, oh yeah, we got our factories up and running. They don't. It's a lie. First of all, the Chinese demand has ended because nobody can go outside to buy an iPhone. No one would spend their money on an iPhone. They're spending money on masks, vitamin C if they can get it, and chaga, they should be. But supply has stopped because the freight out of China has stopped. Power consumption down 60%. People are still in their houses. They're using more electricity at home, but the factories are all shut down. This is the real deal, people. I'll post something later today on gold, silver, and cryptos. But Join the private road, you're going to get the timeline. And the timeline's a big, big, big deal. Especially what Cliff has to say. At some point, I will release that to the public and my take on how this is going to go down over the next few months throughout 2020. I don't. Here's a hint. I don't even get to the end of 2020. So join the private road today. This is Bix. Talk to you later.